When I was 7 years old and living in a village in Oklahoma, my mother and my sister and I took the train from that village to a town 6 miles away, Chakota, where we did our shopping. We flagged the train, it stopped, we got on. We sat down, and then the train began to pull off. And by the time we got a mile or so down the road, the conductor came through and said we couldn't sit there. And my mother said, why? He said, this is a seat for white people. This is a coach for white people. She says, well, I can't move my children while the train is moving. If the train were not moving, I'd be glad to move. He said, I'll stop the train. And he did. And he put us off. Instead of letting us go to the so-called black coach, he put us off. And when we got off and started trudging our way back to the village where we lived, I began to cry. And my mother said, why are you crying? I said, that man put us off the train. She said, you shouldn't ever let that bother you. She said, that's a mere law that says that you can't ride with white people. But you're as good as any of the white people on that train or anywhere else. And I don't want you to spend your energy and your time worrying and fretting about that. Just forget them. Understand that they are the sick people and that you are well and that you just proceed with your life. Don't ever let me see you fretting or crying about your mistreatment by white people. That was my first experience at 7 years old. Another experience was when I was about 10 or 11. And we had by that time moved to the big city of Tulsa, Oklahoma. And I was walking downtown one day, and a man threw 2 quarters down in front of me and said, start dancing. Well, I didn't know that he thought that young boys who were black should dance for white men for the price of 25 cents or whatever it was. And so I kept walking. And he shouted at me once or twice, but that was the extent of his harassment of me, and I went on about my business. Within another 2 years, still in Tulsa, I had the experience of being a Boy Scout, and being a Boy Scout, I wanted to do my good deed every day. And I was walking downtown, and I saw a white woman who was trying to navigate herself off the sidewalk onto the street and cross the street. And I saw immediately that she was having problems and that she probably was blind. And so I ran across the way and said, lady, can I help you across the street? My one good deed for the day. And she said, oh yes, by all means. And we started across the street chatting merrily, and she all of a sudden asked me if I was white or black. And when I told her I was black, she said, take your filthy hands off me and let me alone. And in the middle of the streets, the only thing I could do was to take my hands off her and let her struggle all the way across the street through that traffic without my guidance. I said that if she preferred to run the risk of being injured to having my arm to assist her across the street, that was a strange kind of reaction for any human being to have. And so my notion of race was further shaped.